So the Raiders running back room is loaded. It is full, including the fullbacks. The Raiders currently have 10 running backs on the roster.
Jace.
Josh Jacobs, Kenyan Drake, Zamir White, Brittain Brown, Ameer Abdullah, Brandon Bolden, Trey Ragas, and then the 2 fullbacks, Jakob Johnson, Sutton Smith.
That's 9.
And then they've got the secret weapon that we'll get to more specifically, McCormick, from the undrafted free agent from University of Texas. San Antonio.
I mean, they have him, but they don't have him.
Yeah, he's on he's not in the room. He's like elf on the shelf, you know.
I mean, he'll still be in the room, but he's just not going to be able to play.
Yeah, he's going to be in the room with a cast on, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like this is the perfect example. And people are saying, like, wow, the running back, like, why do you have 10 guys on the, it's like, well, it's OTAs. Like, you're going to run through them. And who do you want? Like, who's going to do what? I feel like someone like Brandon Bolden is kind of just there to, like, teach everyone the scheme, He's like, just like, hey, Josh McDaniel's like, hey, here's a signing bonus. Like, teach the young guns my scheme, Just like
he might surprise you. What if he, looks really good? Who knows?
Or maybe he looks really good, right? But he's the old guy, right?
Yeah.
The old grizzled veteran, if you will.
Grizzled.
But it's such a diverse group of guys. Young, old,
what you expensive.
Want. Yeah, which is the Josh McDaniel system, right?
Yeah.
And so I've been talking forever about how the Raiders are poised to not sacrifice the now to win later, to not sacrifice the later to win now, but for sustained success. Young guys coming in. We got our season starters. We're in a great position to just keep winning, right? To keep the wheel turning successfully. You draft young guys. You keep the ones that are successful. You pay the guys you need to, and they get too expensive. You trade them and move on, and you keep the circle of life turning.
Yep.
The running back room is the perfect example of that. You've got 2 expensive guys in Josh Jacobs and Kenyan Drake, which actually aren't as expensive as I thought. Their combined cap hit next season is only $7.5 million.
Yeah, I think crazy.
Which is nothing nuts, right? Like it's, I thought it'd be a lot worse. Not that bad, right? And that's probably running RB1, RB2. I'd say I think it's safe to say.
More than likely.
Most likely. Those guys are the 2 most touches at anybody. And then you've got a Brandon Bolden, seasoned guy that may or may not make the team, but he's in the mix. You've got your fullback. We're only going to keep Johnson. Sutton Smith's not going to stick around, right? And then you've got these rookies, and they all serve different purposes, right? So you've got Zamir White, who I think it's safe to say he's kind of poised to be next year's starter, not this season, but the following season. I think it's right now with the information we have, that's most likely.
Yep.
With Josh Jacobs' contract coming up and Kenyan Drake's contract coming up. You've got him kind of just learning the ropes, He'll get a couple carries this season. He'll see some action for sure, right? Especially, as we know, Josh Jacobs can't stay healthy, so he'll probably be
He'll
some
get some run. He'll get some run.
He'll get some work going. And they've already got the wheels turning, right? We got the starters for this year. They're going to be gone next season. The guys are going to play next season. They're learning this season. A bunch of rookies with different skill sets. We're all kind of taking flyers on, like drafting Brittain Brown from UCLA, like so late. It's like, if he makes the team, they must have big plans for him, blah, blah, blah. And then McCormick, which is this weird wild card. He's on injured reserve. University of Texas San Antonio broke like every record, every rushing record for that college. He's on injured reserve for the whole season. So the next season, you've got this guy with a crazy ceiling. Like his ceiling's through the roof. And he's there. That's what I'm loving the most about this McDaniels and Ziegler system is not only do we have this season figured out, but we've already plugged into the equation 7 other possibilities for the next 2 and 3 seasons for our starters.
Yep.
And instead of I'm going to lock down Saquon Barkley, $50 million for 4 years. We've got 7 guys that are all kind of in the machine, and the best one that comes out, we get. And we're only going to have to pay a 3rd-round draft pick type salary, an undrafted free agent type salary, a 7th-round pickup type salary. This is the running back room is the perfect example of the McDaniel Ziegler system plugging in running back. So it's like the easiest one to do it because they're a dime a dozen, but it's the perfect example of it. just plugging different guys in at different stages of their career and let them decide who the starters are. It's brilliant, Matt. Like, it's like matchmaking in combat sports. Like, you're matching guys up to hopefully one guy fights for a title in 3 fights. Like, you're putting running backs in position to figure out who your starter is going to be for the next 2, 3, 4 years without having to pay a monster salary for a monster RB1.
Yeah, and that's the whole Josh McDaniels scheme. He doesn't like that huge bell cow back because he's aware that running back is the most injured position. It's the lowest, lifespan in the NFL is a running back. So they get hit the most, they get hit the hardest, they get the most wear and tear. So he doesn't need one guy that does a lot of things really, really, really good. He needs a couple of guys that do different things, that specialize in different things, but can also maybe do 1 or 2 other things pretty good too. So you can have some mix and match. But he wants a lot of those guys. So if there's a guy that, let's say, isn't an RB1 because of X, but he can do Y and Z really well, that's a perfect fit for the system that Josh McDaniels wants to run because, okay, I will only ask you to do what you're good at. I won't ask you to do a lot of what you can't do. That way I don't have to pay you a ton. If you get hurt, I have another guy waiting in the wings who can do what you can do, probably just as good, maybe not as good, but pretty good. And I'm not going to lose a lot. And you see a lot of these running backs, like what running back out there that makes a ton of money is worth it. Derrick Henry got hurt. Christian McCaffrey's always hurt. Saquon Barkley's always hurt. Zeke has been hurt. It's like stupid. Like these guys who have getting all this huge money. Todd Gurley, when he got his deal, fucking hurt. Like, I mean, he's been through it. McDaniels has been through it, and he has. Okay, I know what I need out of my backs. I know I can find guys that specialize in certain things. I don't have to pay them a ton of money, so I can. I want 5, 6 of them.
The downside of the strategy, I like the strategy, and you're right. Like I'm saying, do the strategy, but every strategy has an up and downside.
True.
The downside of the strategy is it takes up a lot of roster space, right? Mm-hmm. So like instead of having 3 running backs on your roster, he's probably going to need 5. He's probably going to need 5 guys on the roster. Like who's going to be on the active roster next season? Jacobs, Drake,
Johnson, Zeke,
White.
Yeah, Zeus and Johnson probably the fullback.
And then maybe, and there'll be one of the 5th. Bolden, Brown. One of those guys will probably be a 5th one. Because, like you said, they're all he wants guys that are so specialized that if a guy goes down, like it really limits your offense, right? So you need to have guys that can kind of fill those roles. So that's the one downside is they're probably going to carry 5 running backs if you count the fullback. Now they'll stash, 2 of them on the practice squad, right? I bet you Brittain Brown is just destined for the practice squad.
Yeah.
Destined for the practice squad. And that's not even counting McCormick, who's on injured reserve. So like they could theoretically, like they'll probably have 5 guys on the sign 5 running backs, McCormick on injured reserve, and then Brown on practice squad. Like seven guys, right? So I still love it. It's cost efficient. The downside is, and this is not just Josh McDaniels, but also Patrick Graham's the same way. I want a ton of DBs. I want a ton of defensive tackles to rotate. Josh McDaniels, I want a ton of running backs and a ton of blah blah. It's like, okay, you only get 53 guys on the roster, So like that's the one downside of having this really intricate and flexible, roster is that one position is going to be limited. Like we're going to be down to like maybe 3 linebackers or something. Like there's going to be a very, very limited position at some point.
Congratulations for making it all the way to the end of our video. If you want Darren Waller to catch 20 touchdown passes next season and for Max Crosby to have 30 sacks, go ahead and subscribe and click the next video.